This lesson is going to show you how to start an assembly file, how to place in your parts and start working on them. And then I'm going to show you a couple other little errors and other miscellaneous things related to assembling. One thing I do want to point out, sometimes people will ask me, they'll say, hey, this group road, my parts don't exist. They're not showing in this area here. That's okay. Your parts don't always have to show here. What's important for when you open your files is you have to click open and you have to go wherever you saved them. So most of the time I'm telling you guys to save in the H drive or OneDrive or wherever. But you have to actually click open and then find your files and click that drop down arrow. So just a heads up there that this home page might not always reflect all your parts. If I'm on a part, to get back to the home page, I can click home down here. To start an assembly file, a couple different ways you can do it. You can just click assembly here. Otherwise, you can click new. That's going to bring up this window we've seen before. Now notice here are our assembly type of files, and we want to do standard.iam. I click create. That's going to start the assembly file. Here's our assembly file. The first thing we want to place in is we want to place in the most important piece of your project, or the core part. If we place in all the parts right away, like let's say you're making like a bookshelf kind of thing and you have 10 different parts and you put all the parts in, things can get confusing. So what I recommend you do not place in all your parts right away. Your screen's going to get messy, it's going to get kind of complicated. What I recommend you do is just place in, let's say, the two most important parts, two parts that you know are going to go together. If you notice in this upper left corner, there's this word place. I don't click the drop, well, you might have to, depending on what your computer's set on. If you click that drop down arrow, just make sure you're on this normal place. So I click place, the tool, and then I'm going to click the drop down arrow to go to my H drive to find my files. I got a whole bunch of folders here, going to Autodesk, Assembly Practice, and first part I'm going to grab is my back piece. I click open, and then now notice this is the part I just zoomed in. I got to zoom out with the mouse wheel. I left click once, and it placed one in. I could keep placing more in by left clicking if I wanted to, but I don't need more. So I'm not going to click more. I'm just going to press escape. There's my one back piece. Now I'm going to place in my other part. Let's go with the sides. So for the sides I need two. So watch, and notice how I'm placing them. I'm placing them kind of near where I want them to go. Place one there. I just left click release. Notice I'm still on the tool. I'm going to left click release, and I'm good. So now I can either press escape or I can right click and click OK. So I got my parts here. Now I need to start thinking about how I want to assemble these, and this is going to go. Both these are going to go on the side here. So this surface to the surface that I can't see there. So you got to really get used to using your camera and moving that around. I'm going to show you a couple of common error type things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to flush this top to top. And let's see if I can do a common issue that I see with a lot of students. Instead of zooming in and doing their constraints, they'll be out this far and they'll just click mate, let's say. And what they're doing is they're clicking this edge. You don't want to click this edge when we do our mate. We want to click the flat surface. So I'm going to do the wrong thing on purpose. And let's see if I can show you what happens because of it. Yeah, I can't. It's not letting me do it. But what can sometimes happen when you do that incorrect mate is it will pivot on this edge. You can like click and drag the piece, and it will pivot, kind of like a door swinging open. So that would be definitely incorrect. And now notice in my browser, I can click mate, and I can see what's highlighting. It's highlighting this edge, so I know I did that wrong. It's highlighting this flat surface, which that's the correct spot to click for me, but this edge is incorrect. So watch, I can right click that and I can delete it. So I did my flush there to there. I'm going to flush here to here. Oops, click cancel. Drag this out a little bit so I can see better. I'm going to mate here to the inside. So that part is 100% correctly connected. sometimes what people do, now notice I have 3 constraints. I constrained all 3 axes. Sometimes what people do is they'll do extra constraints. They'll try some goofy stuff and they'll get like an error. So watch this. I'm going to try mating this surface to this surface. Now if you think about it, I told the computer to flush, flush, mate. I told the computer that these 2 surfaces need to be flush. Flush meaning if there's eyeballs on here, both the eyeballs are looking up. Eyeballs on this piece are looking up, eyeballs on this piece are looking up. But now when I click mate, I'm trying to tell the computer something different. I'm saying, hey computer, I now want those pieces looking towards each other. Watch what happens. Boom, I get an error. So if this comes up on your screen, that means you're telling the computer to do something that it can't. In this situation that I'm doing right now, like I told the computer that those pieces I want flush. And now the computer's like, it's giving me this error saying, hey dude, like you can't do this. Like what do you want? You told me to flush those pieces, now you're telling me to mate them? Like that surface? Like I can't do that. It's got to be one or the other. So then what you do is you just click cancel, and you're going to have to go through your browser and figure out, well, which one did I do incorrectly? And think through just where you're clicking and so on. So those are some things you got to think through. The ultimate test to see if you did something correct or not when you're assembling is to click and drag it and see if it moves, if it falls apart. Click each piece, not just one, but you got to click each piece. So I'm clicking and dragging this piece. This is connected correctly to this. I'm going to click and drag this piece. Notice, oh, you know what? I got an error here, or I'm not done constraining. I have to flush the 2 back parts of this, the back side and back side, to keep that from moving. Notice I can't pull it up and off. I can't pull it in and out. It's sliding back, forward and back. So I just have to flush the back sides of those, and then that will be locked in. So that's the test. So when you think you're done, or if you're not sure if you're done, you got to click each piece and wiggle it and see if it falls apart. Here is another super common issue I see with new timers. They'll constrain their stuff together. They'll be like, hey, Mr. Gupert, I'm done. Look at that. I click it, and it doesn't fall apart. But then if you look here, there's like glitching going on. And what's actually happening is the type of constraint that they did, they put this piece so it constrains inside of this piece. You got to remember here, we're dealing with a computer. The computer's, if you want to pretend the computer's dumb, the computer's going to do whatever we tell it to do. So I told the computer to put this piece inside of this piece. But in real life, wood is not magic. Wood can't do this. Wood's not like a ghost and can like go inside of other pieces of wood. That's not how it works. And one thing to think about, well, why is this a problem with our designs when we're 3D modeling, is because if you think about it, this could potentially mess up our dimensions. So if we're 3D modeling something and it fits really great together we have this result, that might mean some of our dimensions are off. So we have to constrain stuff properly so that we know that it fits properly. If I'm looking at this, what happened is I did a flush on the edge of this top piece to the back of this piece. I just know that just from experience. So what I can do is I can click this piece. In my browser, I see it highlighting, and I need to have these pluses open. Please make sure those pluses are open. I can go through my browser, and I can try and find which one was the incorrect constraint. And then I click this, and then I know it's that one because it's highlighting the 2 surfaces. I can right-click that. I can delete it. Now I can drag it out, and that's more so where it should be. Because if you notice, that's where we have the error. This is where it should be. So I need to do what type of constraint here to the inside of this. What type of constraint would that be? That would be a mate. So I'm going to mate this surface to here. I click apply. Now that piece is correctly aligned. Now, somebody might say, and here's another new thing, is let's say this is a shelf. So this shelf should be down lower on inside of this thing. So somebody like, oh, Mr. Gupert, how do you do that? How do I tell this to go down? Well, it's really simple. These 2 surfaces would still be flush. They're just going to be offset flush. So I click my piece. This is shelf 1, and I look at if that's, yeah, so this is the flush that I did to tell it where to go. If you notice, it's highlighting this, and it's highlighting that. See how it's highlighting other stuff. When I click this flush, it's highlighting those 2 surfaces. I want those to be offset. I can double left click this, or I can right click it and edit, and I can now type in an offset. Let's say I want it to go 3 inches down. the top part, I want 3 inches down. 3, boom. Notice that. Sometimes you might have to type in a negative number, depending on where you're going. You might have to do negative number. Notice how in this case it went up, so I'm going to get rid of that negative. But you can just double click those to edit them. And when you actually put them in, when you are doing a constraint, you can type in the offset right away. So those of you doing shelf type things or you're offsetting anything, just be aware that's how you do it, and you can modify those numbers. Those are some of the main things in terms of giving you some more extra tips about 3D modeling and assembling. Please, please, please make sure to always have these pluses open so you can see your constraints. Remember, you can right click, delete, and click and see what's going on. So I challenge you to be awesome at it.